Welcome everyone. It's nice to having you here. Not nervous at all today. So today we're going to present Bridging the Gap at British Columbia Institute of Technology, aka BCIT, or using analytics to link education to the labor market. And before we actually start, can I have maybe show up some hands if you're in the education industry? Wow.
Wow, good to see all of you here. So hopefully we'll have some relevant information for you guys.
Some hands if you're from Canada. Woo! Okay. Nice to have you all here. The beautiful lady to my left, your right, is Sarah Weber. She's a program planning analyst and the awesome operator of this beautiful program. And my name is Karime Kuri, but you can call me Kay just to make it simple and you can remember. And I'm also a program planning analyst. I work with Sarah at BCIT. So if you see over here, we're actually 5 people. That's our office. It's a very small team, I know, but don't let that fool you. We actually do amazing stuff and we do a lot of research and we handle a lot of data actually on a day-to-day basis. We work under School of Business at our polytechnics, public polytechnics in British Columbia, Vancouver, Canada. And I know, I'm pretty sure almost all of you guys are wondering, it's like, why should I listen to you? Why shouldn't I change my channel on my headphone? Hopefully you don't. This is why. The beautiful lady to my left, she has been working with Tableau for the last 4 years and she has developed this program in-house. So please pay attention to her and pay some attention to me as well. And maybe a couple facts about Sarah. Sorry, Sarah, I have to do this. When Sarah's not playing with her computer, she's actually kayaking, she's dragon boating, and she's flipping discs. I think you call that ultimate, yeah?
Yeah, it's called Ultimate. Any Ultimate players here? 1, 2,
Ooh.
Okay, a couple.
Any kayak? Yeah? Outdoorsy people?
Yeah,
Okay.
outdoorsy people. Thank you, Kay, though, for that introduction. Very flattering. Kay is a brilliant person to work with. Not only does she actually created and maintains one of the biggest post-secondary consortiums across Canada for our Canadian Armed Forces to transition into education. She also maintains all the data for that behind the scenes. And when she isn't dancing with data, she's perfecting her Bollywood. So I know you all are coming out to the data night out today. So if you want to learn a couple of moves, come find Kay and she'll teach you a thing or two. And I also want to say that I'm personally excited to be here today. We are very happy to be able to share our research with you guys. As most incubators do, we are a small research center. So one day our boss came to us and said, we need to be able to show how our grads at our post-secondary go into the labor market and what jobs they get. And if they don't get jobs, what can we do to make sure they get jobs? And thus this labor market analysis was born. And we've gone to a couple of conferences to present this, and it's really duplicatable across different post-secondaries. So if you are from education, which I saw a lot of you are, hopefully you'll get some ideas on how to take this back to your post-secondary or high school or whatever kind of education group you're from. And being here at Tableau is amazing because Tableau was the thing that brought all our data together to show and share our data. So we're happy to be here to share our data with you guys.
Okay, so maybe a little bit more about the agenda. We will talk about the background of who we are as a post-secondary, the purpose for using Tableau, the methodology, and Sarah will take you through a couple demonstrations. So BCIT. We reside in Vancouver, Canada, already said that. We have over 300 programs, pretty much hands-on. So if you're not from Canada, a polytechnic institution means a hands-off on any kind of education. We have anything from certificates, diplomas, degrees, and advanced studies, and that means that our programs are pretty much 2 years, 3 years maximum full-time. Now, in a regular basis, we have over 40,000 students coming in and out full-time and part-time every single year. So that's a lot of information that our advisors need to know in order to provide our students. So that being said, a little bit more about the other side. So if you are from the United States, I know you guys are mandated, like you guys have states and not provinces. In Canada, we have 10 different provinces, and education is mandated by each province. However, some of the information that the province provides and the information that the federal province provides does not match each other. Now, the federal government divides all the industries or jobs by sectors or industries. So for example, you have the education, you have the agriculture, but that information doesn't match each other. And there's a huge gap between, for example, a student going into a post-secondary, coming out and say, I'm gonna work here in this industry, because they don't know where to go. So that being said, we wanted to raise that awareness with this particular information. And how do we get our information? I actually had someone today in one of the other the other talks asking me is, how do you get your information? Like, why should I trust your information? We get all our information from BC, not only our research, but also BC Stats, and they have validated every single one of our performances. And they were very impressed to what Sarah has done so far. So you should pay attention to that. Sarah, you want to take them?
Yeah, thank you, Kay. So as we were building our labor market analysis, we were looking at two groups while building it. The first one being our BCIT internal departments. So with our BCIT internal departments, what we wanted to do was to be able for the program heads to analyze this industry education connection to be able to make program decisions. So with the program decisions, some examples of this is about 3 years ago, we started an advanced diploma in business management. And what an advanced diploma is, it's a year of intensive courses at BCIT. When we say intensive, we throw you into 7 courses per term. So we found a lot of people in the labor market had very technical skills. So we focused on film producers. We worked closely with the military to make sure, see them transition out of the military to education, firefighters. And what we found with a year of this education in business, they could actually go and enter the labor market at more of a mid-management level and starting at scratch. So this is one of our fastest growing programs. It's grown from basically not existing 3 years ago to over 100 people per year. We also are able to use a lot of this labor market data to promote our programs to prospective students. So because BCIT is so big, a lot of our promotion for our programs is done individually by each program head. So instead of each program head going to do their research, and it's so inconsistent across departments, bringing it all together in one labor market analysis that showed job to graduate ratios, salary data, and occupational growth was huge, because some of our programs were very under-enrolled due to not having any information about their program. At BCIT, it also supports our vision and mission. We want to create career-ready graduates, and we can't create career-ready graduates without having jobs for the graduates after they graduate. So we wanted to support them to make sure they have an opportunity to go into the workforce and actually work in what they studied. And lastly, it assists in enrollment planning and program development. If we do identify trends in the labor market, we are able to adjust our programs or program contents to reflect this change. And then the other side, of course, we're looking at our students. Our students are the most important people to us, and for most educational institutes, we know it's the students that matter. So we wanted students to be able to make informed decisions. And when we're talking about informed decisions, one of the biggest groups that stood out to us was the K-12 population. So these are the people in high school that don't know what they want to do. I know I was in that situation. You might have been in that situation, have kids in that situation. It happens to a lot of people. You're like, what do I do now? I don't know what's out there. I've been studying chemistry and physics, and then I've been taking English and just a bunch of random subjects, and they don't actually have a career trajectory. So we wanted to be able to have this information for them. And the other group we were looking at was students coming back to school, so whether they had a degree or they had workplace experience and they wanted to either retrain or upgrade, what potential options there were for them. One of the biggest things we found as a school was that many programs that did have high salaries were some of the last to fill. And that was kind of a light bulb moment when we're like, why aren't these programs filling? Like, you can graduate with some of the highest salaries. So we're able to demonstrate this to students and actually change their perspective about some of the programming we have at BCIT. And students can also find programs to fit their chosen profession. And the last one is it's quick and easy. All the data is in one place, so they're able to find all the information. Because with a lot of the stats and labor market information, there's a lot out there, but it's all around the internet. So we wanted to bring it to one area so students can find it easy and quickly. So just if you guys are curious, I'll do a brief on how we got the data. So there's two things we were looking at. One we really wanted to look at was the vacancies, because that's where the graduates can get jobs. So when we were looking at vacancies, we were looking individually at the national occupation codes. So with the national occupation codes, we were pulling retirement data, we were doing forecasted growth rates, and we were doing replacement and turnover data. Just a side note, we did try to do our forecasting in Tableau, but we found that the forecasting was okay actually. The one issue was using it in later calculations. We did struggle a bit with that, so we did do most of this outside of Tableau, and then we brought the data in there. So once we found the national occupation codes and all the data for that, the thing we wanted to do was match it to what we call in BC, and I believe you do it in the States too, is the classification of instructional programs, to bring them together. So when we were looking at those instructional programs, we were looking at our BCIT internal data, which we worked closely with institutional research to get. And then we also worked with our Provincial Education Data Warehouse to get the graduates outside of BCIT in the rest of BC, which we call the system in this case. So now I actually want to take you through a demonstration and show you how it works. To start off today, I want to introduce you to Bob. Bob's 27, has an arts degree, and currently works in a coffee house. And he wants to come back to school, but he doesn't know what program to take.
Sarah, I think you actually took this out of my own biography. That was me actually 5 years ago, working in a coffee shop with an arts degree.
It's not based on your story, but it is an actual student that we did have come through and use this. So I'm going to take you now. So when we're going through this, imagine you have your own Bob. What would you tell Bob? So here we have the labor market analysis. So when I talked to Bob, Bob was interested in business, specifically operations management. He really likes the supply side of that coffee house. So we bring up here, we can bring up the school, which is the School of Business, and then we can choose the program, which is Business Operations Management. And as you can see, the most prominent thing there is the bar chart, the green for the vacancies and the blue for the graduates. So this is normally what most people want to see, is there going to be a job. So for this specific program in occupation, the job to graduate ratio is 1.24. Now a job graduate ratio of 1.24 is pretty good. It means that there's more vacancies than graduates. So going into this field of study, coming out, you'll have less competition for jobs. The other thing I want to point out is the rates at the bottom. So there is a retirement rate of 6% and a growth rate of 0.58%, showing that there will be more jobs in the future and there will be growth in this occupation. So Bob's really excited. We do have all our definitions on here. If Bob's interested, we actually have all our information on how we did the forecasts here. Bob's probably not interested in it, but you guys would probably be the ones interested in this. And so you can see there's also the top 3 industries, other commercial services being the biggest in this occupation. So that's great. So now Bob knows this could be a viable option, but he wants to know what else we offer at BCIT. And that's where he can go to the program comparison page. So this has all our School of Business. We do actually separate it by school because otherwise we found it was a huge, huge list of programs. So as Bob can see here, he can sort by 4 things: the graduates, the occupational growth, job to graduate ratio, and salary. Now, when we get people coming in, there's 3 main questions they ask. 1, am I going to get a job? 2, am I going to make a lot of money? And 3, is my job still going to be relevant in 20 years? So that's what we're trying to show here is and answer those three main questions. So if Bob was most interested in salary, he could choose the salary thing. And we also added a highlight option here so he can highlight his program. And as you can see, the Business Operations Management diploma actually has quite a high salary compared to the other diplomas at BCIT. So that sells Bob, because he also...
I'm sorry, Sarah, sorry. Before we continue, I want you guys to just look at the data, not the data as in just a bunch of information. I want you guys to process what that means. Bob has an option of going to operations management, going to business management, going to a program that is not only about courses, it's about money, it's about the future, about what will happen when he graduates. So this is very important, at least, I mean, I wouldn't have been working in a coffee shop if someone had shown me that at the very beginning. So sorry, Sarah, maybe you should continue.
Yeah, so Kay definitely mentioned we want to give our students options and make them informed about the programs that we do offer. We also built in an occupational details dashboard just to see what the labor market actually looks like. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with British Columbia, but we're a pretty big province landmass wise, but we have 80% of our population in Vancouver and the surrounding cities. So when we're talking about a lot of our labor market stuff, we like to separate it from the Lower Mainland, which is just that Vancouver area, and the rest of BC, which it contains the rest of the land map, and most of it's rural. There are some smaller towns and cities, but like I said, most people are in Vancouver. So Bob's happy with this. He can see that if he's in the Lower Mainland, there's lots of jobs there for him. The salary range for this occupation is huge. It can range anywhere from 40,000 to 102,000. So 102,000, Bob's happy that he sees that number, 6 digits. What could be better than that? So it's something to work towards in the future for him. So that's Bob's story and how he can use this dashboard. Do you guys want to see one more very quick example?
Yeah.
So one thing we do see in BC and across Canada is our health sciences. So our health sciences is in huge demand. So I thought to myself, let's actually see if we're putting out enough graduates into health science. And one thing is with our nurses. So right now we have huge hospital lineups and wait times. People that need the care aren't getting very efficient care. So when we actually looked at the numbers, we can see it right there that the job to graduate ratio is basically 3 to 1. There's 3 openings in the labor market while we're only producing 1 graduate for those 3 openings. And this raises red flags in our mind because this is not sustainable. We're going to have to get nurses from somewhere else. So we can take this to the program head. Well, health is a bit more of a complicated story because it is very government regulated. It's definitely something we can take to the government and be like, this is the situation in our labor market now. If you look at all the grads we're producing in BC, it's nowhere close to fit the demand we need in our labor market. And the rates down there, the retirement rate's 5% and the growth rate is 1.2%. So even in 5 years down the line, it's going to be even worse. So that does it for the demonstration. I'm going to hand it back over to Kay to go through our current implementation.
Thank you, Sarah. So I haven't lost any of you, right? You're still with me? Awesome. Okay. So where do we have this information? Now we have it on the National Advanced Placement and Prior Learning Program, aka the NAPL website tool. This information is carried to all the Canadian Armed Forces from coast to coast and people that are deployed, aka outside of Canada as well. So that means they have access to all this information if they ever want to transition or become generals or officers within the military as well. So it's very important information, not only for students, but also people who want to carry with or want to have a military career as well. We have embedded this in most of BCIT program pages, especially School of Business. We're trying to expand, talking to program heads to carry this outside of only School of Business, which would be amazing. And healthcare, something that Sarah just showed. And we have showcased this at Canadian associations. So for example, Polytechnics Canada. Maybe for most people in the States, this doesn't mean a lot, but Polytechnics Canada has all the polytechnics throughout from coast to coast from Vancouver or BC all the way to Newfoundland and Labrador. So they have seen this information. We have gotten more interest from other institutions, which is pretty big too. And we're showcasing this in Kapla, actually coming up in 2 weeks, and it connects us. We showcased this in 2017. We'll be back in 2019 in January. We'll showcase. Hopefully, we get more interest from other institutions and get them on board as well, for sure. You want to take them through the summary? I think we actually flew through our presentations. It's all good.
Sure. So just to give you a summary of what we talked about today, to give you some ideas to take back to the office. So we talked about the what, the importance of industry to education connections and how it impacts our students. Number 2 is the why. How can this impact your institution? So whether, I'm sure you all have your Marys, your Janes, your Bobs, your Kays that come to your office and they want to know what careers for them and how they can get into the labor market into that career. So it's definitely something to think about if you already have processes in place, how you can change them, or if you have even a better process, come share them with us because we'd love to hear. And number 3 is the how to implement this to help guide your clients. Like I said, the clients, your students, whoever is the most important thing to your organization. So helping them any way you can would benefit you and your clients.
I don't know if you guys have been doing this conference, but I personally believe, and I'm pretty sure Sarah believes in this too, is to write down your ideas. So, I mean, we do have a lot of time. Yeah, we do. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys a couple minutes. Write down how can you implement whatever we show you today, or you have seen something around in Tableau, to your own organization. So I'm gonna give you maybe like a minute, and then I'll ask them some questions. You guys okay there? Yeah? Can I have a volunteer maybe want to share how they can apply this to your organization? Yeah.
So I don't work for an organization now, but I used to work in institutional research, and I feel like this is missing data in a lot of our program review data right now currently, because it's not about proposing new programs, but seeing if there's still value in the programs we offer. And so this is a really rich data point, I think, that could bring just to sustaining programs or making that decision. So.
Thank you. That's actually amazing. Everyone could listen, hear that, yeah? If you have not done so, I would like you guys to maybe send yourself an email. Remind yourself of what you can do after you finish Tableau, the conference, you go back home. And if you would like to share with someone else, someone beside you, it's always a good idea to remember. Okay? And thank you very much for coming out today. I know we just flew through that presentation, but if you have any questions, Sarah loves getting emails every single day at sweber15@bcit.ca, and we'll both be around. If you have any other questions, please let us know, and hope to see you guys tonight as well.